Hello, my name is Chanse Alexander, and I want to thank you all for coming to see our senior speeches. As most of you know, I can be a bit of an emotional person, but although it can be annoying at times, it does play a big part of my life. And as I grew older, I realized that my music that I listen to allows me to control how I feel. But this goes beyond a personal experience. There are actually proven studies that show that music can help control how we feel through the song's tones and through memory recall. That man that you see up there is Peter Janata. He is a psychologist for the UC Davis Center for Mind and Brain in California. He designed an experiment where several adults would listen to music from the top 100 when they were ages 8 to 18, and he would ask them after each song if any memories were recalled. After all the songs were played, he would then ask them how vivid or how familiar all the memories were. Now previously, Janata had done a study over how a song changed from chord to chord or from major to minor key. We'll call that the song's path. Now, during his study, he realized that the brain follows the path in the same area where memories are kept, the medial prefrontal cortex. Now, I understand that this is a lot, and I also understand that all of you don't think of this whenever you listen to Drake or Chris Young. This is all just information telling you that just because you feel a certain way due to a song, it's not necessarily your fault. It's simply natural. But think for a second. Now, the memories are kept in the same area where the songs are followed. Think of how useful that could be, just beyond our own pleasure. There are people with Alzheimer's disease, people with front temporal dementia that could truly benefit from these studies. And Peter Janata knows this also. He's currently working on studies that will help memory recall through the use of music. But on a lighter note, I want you all to think of a song that you find truly important in your life, and I want you to hold it there. We'll save that for later on. Music helps us through our daily lives, and all of you already know that. You apply it from day to day or on a weekly basis. And I'll talk about a subject that all students hate: studying. We all dislike studying, but what do a lot of us do whenever we have to study? We listen to music. Why do you think that is? Chris Brewer, she wrote a book called Soundtracks for Learning, and she states that we listen to music in order to facilitate the actions that we do, whether it be studying, whether for adults be working at an office. It all helps us in a certain way. Now, with that knowledge, think of a song that you really like. That song that I asked you to remember. How does that affect you? Does it make you feel happy? Does it make you feel sad? Does it help you get through your workout? Or does it help you in a time of grief? You already know this without even me telling you that you use music 24/7. Now, I told you earlier in my introduction that music affects us through our tones, and it can affect us through our memory recall. I remember back in my earlier years as a football player, in the 8th grade and even in the 9th grade, that whenever I was out there on a play in a football field, I would get angry. Whether I tripped and fell or I forgot to play, I would get extremely upset and I couldn't focus on what I needed to do. In fact, that hurt my team, and at some points it would even harm me because my asthma started to kick in. Well, I learned that if I could just simply think of a song that really calmed me down, and if for those that you're wondering, I listened to a song by Kenny G. Yes, it's smooth jazz. But I listened to him, and of course I didn't sit down on the bench and plug in some earphones. No, I played a little tune in my head right before the play, and that allowed me to calm down and think of what I needed to do. That is an example of how music can affect you directly. Now, indirectly, music affects you by recalling a memory. Whenever I feel upset, I always think of this one small memory. You all know that, well, a lot of you know, that I love Charlie Brown. And even more, I love the music that comes with it. And I'll tell you why. I think I was about 7, and my little sister, right there in the middle, couldn't have been more than 3 or 4. It was Christmas Eve, and I was very bored. My shows hadn't come on yet. Frosty the Snowman, Charlie Brown, The Grinch, all of those were still, they were running through the commercials. And I thought to myself, well, what does an older sibling do whenever he or she can't think of anything else to do when they're bored? You would go to bother your younger sibling. So I walked around in my little Incredibles pajamas, and I saw my sister. She was singing, but I had no idea where she was. It turns out she was taking a bath at the time. Now, my mom and dad, I'm not sure where they were. My grandmother at the time, she was probably cooking. And I said to myself, well, it wouldn't be that bad if I gave her a little scare. So I waited for the song to go off. I turned down the TV, and I got really quiet, and I moved closer to the door, and I said, boo! And she screamed, I went off running laughing, and my mother came running also, but not for my sister. She came running for the bell. Needless to say, I was punished, and I don't remember getting any food before I was sent to bed early on Christmas Eve. Sad, and you are probably all thinking, well, Chance, how in the world does this make you happy? This is probably one of the worst memories, almost traumatizing, that you could ever remember. Yes, but I remember being in bed, and I remember right before I could go to sleep, I couldn't necessarily get to sleep. I mean, I was missing all my shows. Right when I laid my head down on the pillow, the Charlie Brown soundtrack that I love listening to this day, started playing. And that helped me slowly drift off to sleep. I have so many memories like that. And I remember them all vividly, simply because of songs. I wanted to tell you all about the uses of music for one reason. I wanted to give you all the opportunity to see what it can do for you. Music is more than just a workout playlist. It's more than just songs for a party. And it's definitely more than a bunch of songs for when you fail a test on an English test. Regardless, music acts as a door. It allows you to see the memories that you've had in the past. And it also acts as a tool. It allows you to control how you feel. Thank you.